Standard disclaimer here, I'm not a truck guy per se. I just think they're pretty cool and I'm trying to learn more about them. So forgive me if I make any mistakes on terminology or things like that. So in this video, I wanted to share with you guys some little known facts about the 2017 Super Duty that I happen to know just from working at Ford and having personal relationships with some of the product development and marketing folks who were working on the 2017 Super Duty since back in 2012, basically. So some of these facts you might already know, but I highly doubt there's anybody that knows all of these facts. So stay tuned. The first thing is, the design team initially wanted to give the Super Duty and the F-150 a much higher belt line. The idea being that they wanted the truck to have a more sporty look to it, going with the sort of Aston Martin philosophy of the thirds game, where you have 2/3, your belt line is 2/3 of the way up on the body and then 1/3 glass. And that's the sort of classic sports car look. But the chief engineer said, hold on a second, this isn't a sports car. The customers are really going to care about visibility, practicality, utility, more than how sporty the thing looks. And they went back and forth on this for a while, and it was a bit of a conflict, to the point where the design team actually built a really ugly mock-up of a very low beltline truck that they presented to the executives to try to say, hey, look how ugly it's going to be if we make this low beltline truck. But the chief engineer and some of the other engineers called them out on their bullshit and said, no, look, this is not what the customers really care about. And had them come back with a good-looking, low beltline truck design. And that's the design that we see today. And in my opinion, I think it looks great. I think high belt lines are kind of a fad going on right now, and it makes visibility kind of poor, and it does kind of make a car look a little bit sportier, but who cares on a truck? A truck should be a truck. Especially a Super Duty that's sort of the god of pickup trucks these days. You guys know, if you're looking at a Super Duty, you don't really care that much about fuel economy. So the aluminum body is actually in place more to improve the towing capacity and the hauling capacity and the overall work dynamics of the truck than for fuel economy, and that's kind of a misconception. So if the 2017 Super Duty is 350 pounds lighter than the previous Super Duty, that's 350 pounds more that it can tow and haul. And that's what the customers really care about. So I said this in my full review, but I think it's worth saying again. The fully boxed section of the 2017 Super Duty's frame, so the part that's fully boxed in, is significantly larger. In fact, it's so much larger that you could fit a Ram frame in to the hollow part of the fully boxed frame. So you could fit an entire Ram frame into the Ford frame. That's how much bigger and how much stronger the Ford frame really is. All of you have probably seen the Chevy commercials, where they try to show how aluminum is somehow weaker than steel with these kind of ridiculous little tests. It started with the bear cage thing, and now they're dropping toolboxes just with the point of the corner down into the bed, and then apparently it'll tear the aluminum a little bit. So the fact is that since the aluminum F-150 has come out, there have literally been no customer complaints about punctures in the bed. Not a single one. So that doesn't really seem like a real issue. The bed of the Super Duty is actually completely different from the F-150. It's 14% thicker gauge, which means that those Chevy commercials are going to be even more irrelevant than they are now. Another interesting fact about the steel components of the 2017 Super Duty is that they use something called an E-coat, and they take the frame and they submerge it fully in the E-coat material, liquid material. Then they run an electrical current through the steel frame. That makes the E-coat bond straight onto the frame. It's much more advanced than the standard wax coating, which is what most trucks use. And it means that you're going to be protected from rust for a lot longer, and it's not going to be affected by heat and things like that. So if you have a wax covering on your steel underbody, then on a hot day, you can just wipe that wax right off, and then you're not protected anymore. So the fifth wheel gooseneck package, or the gooseneck prep package, is super easy to install. It's just a drop-in element, whereas the Silverado, it has to be welded in. So with that gooseneck prep package, you're going to get 10 crossbars on the frame, which is more than any other trucks in the class. And those 10 crossbars improve stability and give you a smoother, quieter ride. In the back of the Super Duty, if you have the crew cab or the super cab, you're going to have a completely flat floor. And that doesn't sound like much, but it actually makes a huge difference in practicality and in how big and luxurious it feels. The flat floor makes the Super Duty feel more spacious because you don't have to crumple your legs up and you can move all the way across the seat without hitting this bump. And if you put the seats up, you can store way more stuff just flat on the floor without any bumps and awkwardly things rocking around and things like that. So that flat floor is a huge benefit, and it's class exclusive. So it used to be, if you wanted to get the cool tech features, you had to go get the higher trim Super Duties. But what if all you can afford is the XL model, but you do want a select few of those tech features? In the 2017 model, all the tech features will be offered on the XL and up. So you'll be able to get any tech features you want, no matter what your trim level is. The adhesive that Ford uses on their aluminum components is actually stronger than welding is. Ford actually patented that really cool cup holder design that I talked about in my full review, which is really cool because it seems like one of those things that's so clever that why hasn't somebody thought of it before? But I guess no one had, so it's patented now. So the Super Duty's electrical power assist motor is actually in the steering wheel. And that means it has to be a very strong, very small motor. Unfortunately, the motor isn't strong enough to steer all by itself, which is why the 2017 Super Duty is not going to have the same trailer reverse assist thing where you can actually steer the trailer. It's not going to have that same thing that the F-150 has. So the trailer hitch design is also all new. It's also fully boxed, just like the frame. And that's cool because all the competitors, they still use tubes. And the fully boxed frame is stronger, which means you can tow more with just a standard hitch rather than having to get a gooseneck. So before, with the tube construction hitch, you had about 8,500 pounds towing without load distributors. And now you get over 20,000 pounds towing without load distributors, which is more than doubling the amount you can tow just with a new design. So even though the steering wheel has a motor inside of it that will assist and allow you to have adaptive steering speeds, it's still hydraulically assisted as well. So you're going to hear a lot about the cool feature where there's an electric motor that will turn more than you turn. So if you turn halfway, it's more like a full turn, and that'll help with parking and things like that. But don't be mistaken, it's still hydraulically assisted. It just has another electric motor that assists with the adaptive steering. So the Super Duty brand is now 18 years old. But this is officially only the second generation of Super Duty. There have been a lot of updates and revisions and things like that, but technically this is the first head-to-toe complete redesign of the Super Duty. So what do you think of the new 17 Super Duty? What are some things that you know about this new truck that nobody else might know? Anything interesting? I might include it in a new video. Also, don't forget to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my new videos. If you want more details on the 2017 Super Duty, head over to my full review and check that out too.
Pull and drum. I can't pull and drum. To be honest, I don't really like any of this electronic stuff, but I will admit, when it all comes together, the effect is profound.